We have breaking news. President Trump has begun airstrikes. The United States has launched massive airstrikes upon Syria tonight. It's not just the United States that's doing it. Also, Great Britain and the nation of France. A coordinated effort, a coalition against evil, and the President of the United States just addressing the nation and the world, announcing that this campaign has begun, taking on the fact that these gas attacks. We heard yesterday that the French President Emmanuel Macron said that he had proof that there had been gas attacks or bombs with chlorine and sarin gas had been used upon the people of Syria, and he had definitive proof of it. Now, inspectors were asked to go in, according to the United Nations, on behalf of the United States and Russia, but apparently the indication is, the information that they're getting is that it was President Assad who used the chemical weapons on his own people. As I've been reporting for about 4 days now, that boots on the ground saw Syrian helicopters dropping barrel bombs upon the civilian population there in Douma, the suburb of Damascus. And the president has launched an attack. The explosions are massive. Damascus may become this ruinous heap. We don't believe the entire city of Damascus will be destroyed in this campaign, but folks, already 70% of it was in massive disaster. And again, the two scriptures say, but the one everyone probably knows by now is Isaiah 17:1, the burden of Damascus. Behold, Damascus is taken away from being a city, and it shall be a ruinous heap. Well, tonight, the United States of America, in coordination with the United Kingdom and with the nation of France, are currently bombing Syria, and they're going to be bombing Syrian locations. The question is, all of these different strikes, where are they going? Who are they going after? Is it just Assad, his air force, his military installations, his airports, military airports, his infrastructure? Or will they also be going after the Iranians and the Russians? And so this is an incredible situation that we're dealing with here tonight. Now, earlier this evening, I had been on the phone with one of my sources, and we had gotten information that at the Pentagon at 5 p.m. tonight, that all the cars were still in the parking lot of the Pentagon and that nobody had went home. I thought about going live then, or not live, but doing a YouTube video explaining that this, there might be something up. Then I did hear Chuck Todd say earlier this evening that he had heard from a reliable source that the President of the United States was going to address the nation Sunday night at 10:02 p.m. Well, again, rumors were starting to swirl. Something was going on, and it was actually tonight. So the cars remaining in the parking lot of the Pentagon was because an aerial assault was about to begin. The British have been very upset, very angry, and the French are the ones saying they have definitive proof that sarin gas and chlorine gas was used, and that it was President Bashar al-Assad who had used the agent of gas upon the people. You know, the thing is, there's been so much atrocities. We've seen raping, murdering, executing, beheadings. I mean, and it's been by a lot of different factions, not just Assad. I mean, look what ISIS did. And there's no question that this region is biblically in a state of chaos. Our hearts and prayers really go out to the Syrian people. They are victims of circumstance. They live in a country that's been turned over to absolute tyrants and animals. and everybody wants their resources and could care less about them. The Kurds have had to deal with their own problems with the Turks, and Iran has moved into Syria, and of course Russia has certainly almost taken over Syria and may still end up having control of Syria when this is all said and done. But the United States has begun airstrikes going on right now. If you guys, we are live, so if you'll give me just a moment, I'm going to get up to the minute information maybe to help with where we're at this exact minute. And it's not just the United States, folks, of course. It is also the British and the French. I'm going to try to get you some information. U.S. forces have launched more than 50 Tomahawk missiles at a military airfield responsible for that horrific chemical attack on the citizens of Syria. That is one report that has just now been released by NBC News. Also, we have reports, just 11, let's see. Okay, basically NBC News is the one that's getting the connection here. They must have left CNN out of this one. Very strange. Hang on one second. Sorry about this. I know we're live and it's kind of... Okay, we have Russians are killed. Oh, no, hang on a second. That's... I take that back. Please strike that. That's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. That's the problem here. People throw up stuff that... Okay, so really this is brand new, folks. It's just happening. Only NBC has actually got anything posted. I'm live right now. So most networks are asleep at the switch right now. But the latest news is the United States, along with the Great Britain and France, have begun the bombing campaign. They have 50 Tomahawk missiles, cruise missiles, have been fired by the United States into Syria. And how long this campaign will go on, we're not sure. It's still in the very early stages. So that is where we're at. Fox is probably on live by now. Everybody should be live by now. I mean, I know I went live before CNN and maybe before Fox, but I think Fox is on now. And so the information, thank you, Mrs. Tina. Fox is now covering it. Again, here's the story. It's just now happened. And that is President Donald Trump has just announced that the United States of America has begun an air campaign, air assault upon Syria, but not alone. We, according to NBC News, the United States has already fired 50 Tomahawk missiles at an air base in Syria. But we all understand that the British and the French are also going to participate in this air attack upon Assad's regime. Is this an attempt to remove Assad from power, to punish Assad? Or is this just a retaliation, a red line that's been crossed by the Assad regime that the United States, the British, and the French are all going to participate in as a coalition to send a clear message that weapons of mass destruction such as sarin gas or chlorine gas or different types of chemical warfare are not going to be tolerated on the world stage. And so this may be a show of force, a show of unity, a show of coalition between the United States, the French, and the British. But one thing's for sure, has this begun World War III? Has this, now CNN is covering as well. They're jumping in. It is Friday the 13th. Some of you may remember I've been covering this saga all week long, and I said, I've got a feeling that President Trump is waiting for Friday the 13th to launch this attack, and apparently that's exactly what he's done. Also, Friday the 13th, he has launched an air attack, an air assault on Syria. 50 Tomahawk cruise missiles have been fired and hit a Syrian airfield, a Syrian military airport or air base, and has probably destroyed it. And the question is that all we're going to do? Is that all the United States going to do? The 50 cruise missiles, is that it? Or are we going to choose other locations and also crush them as well? And what about the British? What are they going to do? And what about the French? What are they going to do? Because according to President Donald Trump tonight, all three nations have come together in a coalition to retaliate against Bashar al-Assad's regime in Syria. What about the Russians? Are they in the way? Did they get all their people out of the way? What about the Iranians? Are they sitting there? Earlier this week on Monday night, it was the Israelis who drew first blood when they sent two F-14 fighter jets flying through the airspace of Lebanon, then hung a right turn, went into Syria, and launched 8 missiles from these 2 aircraft. 5 of those missiles were shot down by the Russians, but 3 of them did get through, creating considerable damage at the T4 air base there in Syria, killing 14 military personnel. 7 of them were Syrians, and 7 of them were Iranians. And so this is a very, very, very intense situation right now. Has World War III begun? Or is this, and it really depends on the Russians at this point, because if Russia jumps in and tries to start shooting down U.S. cruise missiles, or what if Russia does what Putin said he would do? And that is, if the United States, if you fire your missiles into Syria, remember what Putin said? He said, we will shoot them down, and then we will bomb from the location in which you launched the missile attack. Now the question is Vladimir Putin going to stick to his word and retaliate against the United States, or against the British, or against the French? Or is Vladimir Putin going to stand down, allow the United States, the British, and the French, this coalition of the West, to go ahead and inflict significant damage upon Assad's armies, air forces, and maybe even any of his personnel and outposts and what have you, military installations? I guess the question is, they're saying that there is massive explosions near Damascus tonight, the suburbs of Damascus. They're bombing in Damascus. Well, that's because that's where those helicopters actually came from. They were Assad helicopters. It came from the one side of Damascus. About 30% of the city of Damascus is controlled by Assad, where the government employees live and their families and the schools and hospitals, and it's where Assad's little kingdom is. It's been protected very well by the Russians and the Iranians' Revolutionary Guard. And then don't forget, there's about 5,000 troops from China sneaking around in the country as well. So the question is, where is Trump dropping the bombs, and will Putin fire back? Let me get some information now, because things are going to elevate quickly. The media will not be able to be as quick on their feet as the military will move, and I believe we're probably going to be quicker here. U.S. attacking Syria. Let's hang on just a second. Yes. Here we go. 1 second. Okay. All right. Trump has ordered the strikes to hit Damascus. This report 9 minutes ago. President Donald Trump has ordered that his cruise missiles, Tomahawk missiles, are to strike Damascus. Right out of the pages of the Bible, really. Folks, a couple things you might want to read if you're looking at it from a biblical standpoint. It's Isaiah 17, verse 1. The burden of Damascus, behold, Damascus is taken away from being a city, it shall be a ruinous heap. The other scripture you might want to look at is Jeremiah 49, 23 through 27. This is what it says concerning Damascus. Hamath is confounded, and Arpad, for they have heard evil tidings. They are faint-hearted. There is sorrow on the sea. It cannot be quiet. There's rumors on the sea that missiles are coming. It can't be quiet, and they have come. Damascus is waxed feeble. It turneth herself to flee. Fear has seized on her. Anguish and sorrows have taken her as a woman in travail. How is the city of praise not left, the city of my joy? Therefore her young men shall fall in her streets, and all the men of war shall be cut off in that day, saith the Lord of hosts. And I will kindle a fire, I will kindle a fire in the wall of Damascus. Well, and it shall consume the palaces of Ben-Hadad. Now, first of all, Ben-Hadad is a description of the leader of Damascus. And so the leader of Damascus right now would be Assad. This scripture says there'll be a fire right in the wall, affecting his palace. Is it possible that Trump is going for Assad? Let me give you the information right now. Trump has ordered missile strikes to start and to hit Damascus. The operation was launched with France and the United Kingdom after suspected chemical attacks has been confirmed by the French. President Donald Trump approved U.S. military strikes on Syria in an address to the nation tonight, a few minutes ago. A little after 9 p.m., 30 minutes ago, in Washington, there was reports of strikes hitting Damascus. The operation was launched in a coordination with France and the United Kingdom. The Associated Press has tweeted, President Trump, U.S. strikes on Syria, launched in concert with the British and French allies, now underway. Also, the Associated Press just tweeted, loud explosions have lit up the skies over the Syrian capital of Damascus. Heavy smoke as President Trump announces the airstrikes. These are not the actions of a man, President Trump said Friday night in his address. They are crimes of a monster. So President Trump is calling Assad a monster. He called him an animal a few days ago. The strike comes less than a week after the suspected chemical weapons attack by the Syrian government on the suburbs of Damascus that killed about 70 people and injured more than 500. President Trump has been threatening military retaliation against the Syrian government for the past week. And the White House said earlier today that it had very high confidence that the Syrian government was responsible for the attack. It will be the second time that the president has used deadly force in response to the chemical attack in Syria. Matter of fact, it has begun, and the skies are lit up over Damascus tonight. The scriptures in the Bible are being fulfilled right before our very eyes. I want to welcome all 1,776 of you that have gathered here tonight live spontaneously, as this is a night we probably won't forget. I'm not using the other, sorry, I just went live off a laptop. I didn't have time to turn on all the equipment, the broadcasters and everything else, so I'm just here at YouTube tonight. Let me tell you what else. Trump has used 50, I repeat, 50 Tomahawk cruise missiles has been the first report by NBC News. But that doesn't mean that's all he's going to use. But he used 50 Tomahawk cruise missiles in the first 30 minutes. He may be going to be using more as well. And then I'm sure there could be sorties. There could be aircraft that's going to be flying in from off the aircraft carriers or out of the air base in Qatar. The United States may even fly some planes out of the Jordanian air base that we have there. There's a lot of options for us. And the USS Cook is also right there, easy access. The missiles are flying. Destruction has begun. And the question is, where are the British? What part of the country are they bombing? Is everybody hitting Damascus? Are they going for Assad? Are they trying to take Assad out of power? Are they trying to destroy his entire government portion of the city? If he does, if Trump does this, if that's the goal, Damascus is a ruinous heap because the other 70% of the city is already in rubble. It's very possible that we are witnessing Isaiah 17:1, and it's tied to Jeremiah 49:23-27. Now we're getting reports that France has launched missiles and also that the United Kingdom has begun. We're going to go and grab some more information quickly if you guys will stay with me right now, as this is a breaking news report. The war, have we begun World War III? Will the Russians stay out of this? That's a question that I don't know. Will Russia stay out, or will Russia accidentally get hit, or will some of their, did they leave people in places they were told to get out of? You know, are they trying to shoot down U.S. cruise missiles like Putin said? Will Putin retaliate like he said he would? These are questions that we're trying to find out now as this thing gets started. And we do have some information that the United Kingdom has begun. All right, here we go. We know the United States is absolutely bombing Damascus, and now I have a report. President Trump calls on other nations to help Syria in the campaign here. President Donald Trump is reiterating his call to have other nations take on more of the burden in Syria. Trump says he's asked the United States partners to take greater responsibility for securing their home region, including contributing large amounts of money for the resources and the equipment of all the anti-ISIS effort. He says increased engagement from countries including Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Egypt can ensure that Iran does not profit from the defeat of the Islamic State. He also has added that America does not seek indefinite presence in Syria under no circumstances, and says that as other nations step up our contributions, we look forward to the day when we can bring our warriors home. Syria's capital has been rocked. Reports are, in the last 15 minutes, Syria's capital has been rocked by loud explosions that have lit up the sky in the heart of Damascus. Heavy smoke is literally being seen over the city. The United States President Donald Trump announces airstrikes in retaliation for the country's alleged use of chemical weapons. And the Associated Press reporters in Damascus saw smoke rising from East Damascus. It's early Saturday morning there. Right now, it would be 20 till 10. It's about 20 till 4, so it's about 3:40 in the morning there. Syria's state TV says the attack has begun on the capital, though it wasn't immediately clear what was targeted. Trump announced Friday night that the U.S., France, and Britain have launched military strikes into Syria to punish President Bashar Assad for his alleged use of chemical weapons against civilians to deter him from ever doing it again. Matter of fact, President Donald Trump is warning the Russians tonight, and he's warning the Iranians about their association with the Syrian strongman Bashar al-Assad's government, as he announces the launch of the retaliatory strikes after an apparent chemical weapons attack last Saturday. Speaking from the White House, President Trump says, quote, "To Iran and Russia, I ask, what kind of nation wants to be associated with mass murder of innocent men, women, and children. Trump calls those two countries those most responsible for supporting, equipping, and financing the criminal Assad regime. Trump also said the nations of the world can be judged by the friends they keep. He adds ominously, hopefully, someday we will get along with Russia and maybe even Iran, but maybe not. President Donald Trump's asking for prayer for our noble warriors as he concludes his remarks announcing strikes on targets associated with the Syrian chemical weapons program. Trump announced the strikes in coordination with France and Britain from the White House tonight and said that the three nations have marshaled their righteous power. Trump is also offering prayers for the entire Middle East and for the United States of America. Trump also said he's prepared to sustain against Syria until the use of chemical agents stop. So we're not leaving Syria, guys. Guess what? I guess we're not leaving. Because the United States, along with the assurance from France and the United Kingdom, have launched a response tonight against the regime of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, days after his government allegedly used chemical weapons on his citizens. And Trump says America does not seek an indefinite presence in Syria and will look to pull out its troops once the Islamic State is totally defeated. We're going to be there for a while. Trump has signed in recent weeks that despite advice from his national security team, he wanted to accelerate the timetable of the withdrawal of American forces. But President Donald Trump says the United States has launched a precision strikes on targets associated with the Syrian chemical weapons program. So I'm giving you right up to the minute exactly what's taking place. I want to welcome all 2,000 of you that have gathered with us, more than 2,000 of you who are with us live right now. I did not expect to go live tonight. I knew this was coming, though. We knew this was coming. And I even said today, earlier this morning, I said, just about the time everybody's going to relax and think maybe they're going to call it off, then you can know when they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh. And that's exactly where we're at tonight. I understand the Pentagon is going to be giving us an update of what exactly has happened. We're still in the first 43 minutes of the attack, and already we know the United States has fired 50 Tomahawk cruise missiles, and that reporters that are right now in the city of Damascus are saying the city has been lit up. Smoke is rolling, buildings have crumbled, and missiles have rocked the city of Damascus. It is an unbelievable scene right out of the pages of the Bible. If you go to Isaiah 17, verse 1, you will read the exact account of what the Bible said was going to happen to the city of Damascus. But then if you read Jeremiah 49, 23 through 27, it breaks it down step by step. And exactly what's happening now, that there would be this rumor on the sea, that there would be sorrow on the sea because these missiles are coming from the sea. The city will wax feeble in fear. They will flee in anguish. They will be like a woman in travail before giving birth. The young men will fall in the streets. The men of war will die, and a fire will be kindled in the wall of Damascus, in the palaces of Ben-Hadad, which is actually the title of whoever's the leader of Damascus. And so we continue to watch and see. Now, we have heard no reports of support of this effort by the Israelis. Remember, Israel started this thing off. They're the first ones to draw first blood. They did it early on Monday evening. And Benjamin Netanyahu would have no problem in helping the United States and the British and the French to carry out a massive attack on Assad. Matter of fact, Netanyahu would say, let me go after the Iranians while you guys take care of Assad. But I'm sure that you don't want to have a Middle East you don't want to turn the entire Middle East up in flames by bringing in the Israelis. And it's a sad, sad day. No, this isn't what Paul wanted. I must say, I just saw that comment very quickly there. It's kind of amazing I could even see a comment. But no, I did not want war. I would never want war. I've had 3 sons that served in the United States Army. I had a son that did an entire year, a tour of duty in Afghanistan, who was fired upon, who rode shotgun in 18-wheelers with a machine gun, who was in the surge in the heart of Kandahar. We prayed day and night, fasted before the Lord that he would return home, and so would all of his and his battalion. And they did. The last thing I ever want to see is young men and women dying. I never want to see the horrors of war. But the Bible said it's going to happen. So that doesn't mean I want it to happen. I'm just reporting my job. I'm a prophecy preacher. So I study the Bible and I know what the scripture says is going to happen in the end times. I didn't want this, but I knew this was going to happen. I don't ever want to see it, but I can't stop it. And oh, by the way, I don't want a new world order. I don't want a global elitist. I don't want an antichrist. But it's going to happen. So please, when the antichrist rises, remember, I didn't want it. Some would say, well, that's what Begley wanted. He's been telling you, new world order's coming. Him and Alex Jones and those guys. No, we're just reporting what is actually happening. And I take it a step further. I'll tell you what the scripture said is going to happen. Okay? So it is Friday the 13th, and this is a very serious situation. And I have no hard feelings to the person that said that. Just letting you know, I want to help clarify that. But it's very sad, folks. It's very sad what's happening. People are dying right now. People are being buried in the rubble right now. And a lot of them are Assad's people. And so I want to thank all of you that are here, 2,300 of you. This is a spontaneous situation. I want to try to get an update. I understand the Pentagon is going to brief us maybe a little bit after 10 p.m. or so, maybe a little before. Everything's very fluid now, okay? Everything is really fluid. I know what the United States has done, 50 Tomahawk missiles. I don't know if that's all we're going to do or if that's just the beginning of what we're going to do. And I don't know what the British are going to do. Give me 1 second. I'll try to get you up to the date moment right now. Okay, hang on. Let's check out what's happening right now. Punishment. Trump is continuing to say this is meant for punishment on Assad for what they did. We do know that 11 minutes ago now we're getting information that the British are launching attacks. Let me see what's happening right here on this report. U.S., France, and the United Kingdom have all started launching attacks, I understand, all in this first hour. President Donald Trump announced tonight that he ordered the strikes of Syrian regime in response to the chemical weapons attack last Saturday. Quote, I ordered the United States Armed Forces to launch precision strikes on targets associated with the chemical weapons capabilities of Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad. Trump said that the White House diplomatic reception room is where he's at right now tonight. U.S. aircraft and ships were used in the attack. So there's a confirmation. We've been waiting to find out. The United States is not only using Tomahawk cruise missiles from their ships, but U.S. aircraft is also flying into Syria and are dropping bombs. And according to multiple U.S. defense officials, it is on. Trump said the strikes were in coordination with France and the United Kingdom, adding that the purpose of the campaign is to establish a strong deterrent against the production and the spread and the use of chemical weapons. The combined American, British, and French response to these atrocities will end the integrity all of the instruments of the national power, military, economic, diplomatic, Trump said. UK Prime Minister Theresa May has made a statement. She authorized the British Armed Forces to conduct coordinated and target strikes to degrade the Syrian regime's chemical weapons capability and to deter their use. Trump indicated the strikes would continue until the Syrian regime's use of chemical weapons ends. We are prepared to sustain this response until Syria's regime stops its use of prohibited chemical agents. The president also insisted that the United States would not remain engaged in Syria forever. Under any circumstances, he was previously told his national security team that he wanted the U.S. troops to exit Syria within 6 months. But America does not seek an indefinite presence in Syria, Trump said from the White House. As other nations step up their contributions, we look forward to the day when we can bring our warriors home. Trump told the nation in his address that the United States cannot purge the world of evil or act everywhere there is tyranny, and he described the Middle East as a very troubled place. We will try to make it better, but it is a troubled place, Trump said. The U.S. will be partners and a friend, but the fate of the region lies in the hands of its own people. He criticized Russia's support of Syrian regime, saying Russia must decide if it will continue down this dark path. Trump also called out the Russians' promise of 2013 that they would guarantee the elimination of Syria's chemical weapons. And of course, they never did. So Trump is basically putting Russian President Vladimir Putin on notice. Vice President Mike Pence is in Lima, Peru. He just called the congressional leaders minutes before Trump announced the strikes. So that's how the Congress found out about the strikes officially. They got a phone call from the Vice President of the United States, who is in Lima, Peru, and said, I just want you to know, the President of the United States is getting ready to smash Damascus. And he's got a coalition with the British and the French. So, folks, that's how things are starting to shape up already. I want to welcome all 2,400 of you on a Friday evening. I normally don't do broadcasting on Friday nights. And to be quite honest with you, I've been exhausted. Heidi said to me today, she said, you look exhausted. I said, I am. I'm very, very exhausted. The anxiety, I guess. We've had a tremendous week with great crowds of people coming and many, many hundreds of people saved. And I'm preparing, spiritually preparing, physically preparing for the fact that we have a great crusade coming in India, conferences in Ohio, conferences in Colorado Springs, and just a lot of work we got to do. And so I desire your prayers tonight. I was sitting in the recliner, and I was trying to doze off a couple times, but really couldn't, because when I got the information that at a little bit after 5 p.m. tonight, that all of the cars were still in the Pentagon parking lot. Now, I spoke to one of my good sources who said, well, Paul, that could, that doesn't mean there's something going to happen. That could just be an office party. I said, true, it could be, but we better be awake, because I don't know. And then we got more information that the president, we heard Chuck Todd of NBC News say he had heard, one of his reliable sources told him the president was going to address the nation at 10:02 p.m. Eastern on Sunday evening, which made me think he must be going to launch an attack on Sunday. But that must have been a red herring, maybe to just throw NBC off, maybe make Chuck Todd look a little bit out of touch. I don't know, because the fix was in. The plan was already in place. It is happening now. Now, I said about 2 days ago, it's very possible that Trump is going to wait till Friday the 13th. Some of you remember me saying that. It's very possible. Dates are important. When war and different events take place, The date of something is very important. The date they set, the time they set. And Friday the 13th will now have a different meaning to it, certainly on this attack. It's a terrible situation going on there in Damascus. Pray for the innocent people that are there, children, young men and women, children, older, elderly. They're already in a city plagued by war, plagued by murder. Remember when ISIS was going house to house, pulling grandmother out of the house and shooting her in the head? Remember the beheadings, the public executions? Remember the rubble, how 70% of that country has been in a state of chaos and rubble? Assad was hanging on to his 30% with the help of the Russians and the Iranians. But tonight, that might even be in jeopardy. So we're going to continue to pray. Thank you, guys. Continue to pray, lift each other up in prayer, and realize that we are living in the days of the Bible. We are living in the prophecies that we are watching. This is the fig tree generation. We are watching the exact scriptures come to life right before your very eyes. There should be no doubt in your mind that the Bible is true, not the Quran, but the Bible is true, and its prophecies are real. And we'll do our best to point those out the closer and closer we get to the coming of the Lord Jesus Christ. Something biblical is going on with the signs of the second coming of Christ. Are you saved? Give your life to Jesus Christ. Realize time is running out. If I was watching this program tonight, whether live with Pastor Begley right now or on an archive of it, I would certainly consider getting my life right with Christ, because what's happening is the prophecies of the Bible are accelerating. The pieces of the puzzle are coming together faster, exponentially. We're on the brink of the beast. We're on the edge of eternity. We are in the last days. Are you serious? This is it. Are you serious? We're running out of time. God bless all of you. I'll give you more updates as they are needed. Good night, everyone. Pray for the people of Syria and pray for our men and women, every pilot we have. Pray that their planes are safe. Pray for the British and the French as well, and all the people of Syria.